Hello everybody, Michael the Librarian of Magic here, finding and cataloging the magical and pointing you to it. Today is October the 15th, and I've got another Halloween drawing for you, another Halloween treat. The same disclaimers as always apply. See the first video in my series if you want to know all the details about that. I'm going to jump straight into today's drawing, which is of the evil stepsisters from 1950's Cinderella, Anastasia and Drizella here. They were designed for the 1950 film Cinderella. These characters were modeled and animated by Ollie Johnston and Mark Davis, two of the legendary Nine Old Men. And they've sort of become, iconic for their sort of character type. So much so that when Linda Wolverton was writing the script for Beauty and the Beast some 40 years later, she decided to remove Belle's Wicked Sisters from her adaptation, which featured in the original story, because she didn't want any associations with these two because they were so iconic at that point. Drizella is the older of the two. She appears, I guess some people think that in the original movie she's just a little bit nastier than Anastasia. I think they're both pretty nasty, but they sort of pick up on that vibe in the eventual direct-to-video sequels that they made for Cinderella, which I confess I've never seen, but in reading about them I've discovered that the two sequels are kind of a lot about Anastasia, and apparently her character sort of makes a turn and has a change of heart and kind of turns for the better, whereas Lady Tremaine and Drizella do not. Drizella just sort of stays evil and mean and cruel, and in the sequels Anastasia does not. But in the original film, they're both pretty nasty. Maybe Drizella's a slightly nastier. Comment down below if you have an opinion on that, if you think, at least in the context of the original film, is one nastier than the other, or are they both equally nasty? I think, for me, in the scene where they rip off Cinderella's dress that she worked so hard to make, and her jewelry and everything like that, to me that seals the deal that they're both pretty equally nasty, if you ask me. But let me know if you have any opinions about that on that score. Drizella was originally voiced in the 1950 film by Rhoda Williams, who was a child star on the radio. She starred in really popular radio programs back in the day, like Lux Radio Theater. She was in several episodes of that, and in a bunch of other, she was a child voice in a bunch of other cautionary radio dramas like One Man's Family and I Want a Divorce and things like this. But she eventually ended up working with Disney on this. She was the voice and character model for Drizella. And she also ended up being eventually the voice and character model for the audio animatronic mother and the audio animatronic teenage daughter in the General Electric Carousel of Progress at Disneyland. So those kind of look like her a little bit. And then she, obviously famously voiced this role. Later on, she went in to have, after this, when she got a little bit older, she went on to have a TV career. She had a lot of guest starring roles in things like Dragnet and Barnaby Jones. She was on General Hospital for a little while, and she did some voiceover work like she did an episode of The Twilight Zone. She voiced some alien creatures in some of the Star Trek movies, I think Star Trek 4, Star Trek 5. So she had a career for a good little while. Anastasia was voiced originally by Lucille Bliss, who had a really long life and a long, wonderful career. She, instead of going in the TV route like Rhoda Williams did, she really stayed in voice acting for a long time and had a really, sort of big career with that. After she voiced Anastasia here, she went on to be the voice of Crusader Rabbit, the title character of the show, Crusader Rabbit, which was the first ever animated series for television. So she was really one of the first ever animated voice actors for a regular TV series role. And then, you know, she went on to voice Sunflower and Tulip in Alice in Wonderland for Disney, as well as the TV ad singer of the Canine Crunchies ad in 101 Dalmatians. Outside of Disney, she also did some voices for, you know, Hanna-Barbera over the years, and then eventually she had a pretty long-standing role as Smurfette in the Smurfs. So if you kind of grew up in the 80s, when I did, in the early 90s, you definitely remember her as the voice of Smurfette. And even beyond that, if you're just a little bit younger than me, if you were watching some Nickelodeon shows as well, she even was voicing on into that era. She was the voice of Miss Bitters on Invader Zim. She was the voice of Yagoda in Avatar: The Last Airbender. She also voiced, well, yeah, she voiced those characters. So, yeah, she kind of went on to have a really long-standing role with some big stints on some major known roles for quite a while. Drizella and Anastasia they were once upon a time pretty rare walk-around characters at Disneyland, but they're used quite a bit nowadays, particularly in like Halloween and the Halloween parades and stuff like that. But they also do, you know, meet and greets with them at the castles and things like that. You can see them around more often than you do. Usually they're in tandem. Occasionally they're with Lady Tremaine, especially around Halloween time and stuff like that, when, you know, things are operating in their usual typical fashion. So, you know, that's basically in a nutshell a little bit about these characters. Like I say, they were featured heavily in the 2 Cinderella direct-to-video sequels, which I haven't watched, but I know they revolve around them quite a bit as sort of a source of antagonism, and in the case of Anastasia, it seems that they kind of turn her into a protagonist or an anti-hero a little bit. So that's the evil stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella. Just a few little tidbits about them. Let me know down below, like I said, if you think one's more evil than the other, or if you have any little fun bits of trivia about them or have any relationship to them. Cinderella's one of your favorite movies. I know it's well beloved. Yeah, let me know down below if you have anything to add to that. Thanks as always for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thanks for following me for the whole month of October. I hope you're enjoying these. I hope it's a nice little break and a bright spot in the middle of your day to learn a few things about some of these characters and the people who brought them to life. Follow me tomorrow when I'll have another Halloween drawing for you. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.